Hola.
Hello. I was thinking, I don't have the volume 18. Do you have it?
I do not. No, we only have 17. That's the last one.
What do you mean the last one?
I mean, that's the last one I picked up was 17. I've never
I
gotten
have.
after that.
Oh, okay. Because he mentioned something about the 18
Oh, he did?
last week, and I didn't do any, I didn't say anything because I thought I had it, but obviously I
Oh,
don't.
yeah. I don't know. I don't have it here. That's for sure.
All right.
Well, how we're we holding here? What? We're
Two,
almost done.
217.
Yeah. We'll finish here in a couple of weeks.
Well,
Yeah.
not really.
Hello.
Hello.
So NVIDIA chips are worthless now?
What?
I'm talking to
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I bought more NVIDIA yesterday.
It's funny because I have some, but it went down. It went up even higher than previous. It jumped back up again because it says they were using NVIDIA chips.
So like 3 years ago,
Yeah.
everyone got freaked out about TikTok
Yeah.
coming in and going to destroy Facebook's business.
Oh, right.
And
Keep up on Facebook.
On top of all that, Facebook went down to 100 a share.
Yeah.
And then they spent some time, reworking everything, and now they're at 650 a share.
Oh,
right. So I mean,
yeah.
it's the same thing over here. It's like, what you think other people haven't gone and redone these models and rebuilt them? It's like, and then doing tech stuff, but it's all about videos and images and
Right.
much deeper thinking, and it's a very light level, yeah. So they can reproduce it, but I'm not even sure it's really real.
Yeah. You can't trust the Chinese, as we've known from recent experience.
No, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually bought puts on the market before they launched this.
Oh,
Before they
interesting.
made it, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised at that. Look, Nancy Pelosi sold NVIDIA and Apple shares a week ago.
That's how do you know that?
It's all over the news.
Really?
Yeah.
What can you do? Hi, Ernie.
Hi.
The thirst for AI is not going away.
Ernie, do you have the volume 18 already?
It's on the way to me.
Oh.
I don't have it yet. It's on the way.
Okay.
Did we make it to 199? Where are
217 today.
Oh, yes, correct. So we talked about the brachas of Havdalah. And one of them is a bormine besami. It's a smell. So if somebody cannot smell, this became a problem after COVID, where people lost their smell, they lost their taste. We saw above that the rules for reciting the bracha on besamim follow the standard rules of birchas hanenin, and reciting brachas on besamim, which is described in the Shulchan Aruch Siman 216. Accordingly, it stands to reason that one who cannot smell is unable to fulfill the mitzvah of smelling spices on Motzei Shabbos. The Torah quotes the view of Rabbeinu Ephraim that he also may not recite the bracha on behalf of others who are able to smell. But the Torah disagrees with Rabbeinu Ephraim and derives his opinion from a rule regarding the bracha b'motzi. Because of what Rabbeinu Ephraim, Mishen Meiriach, somebody who can't smell, u'mavarech al b'samim, heavy bracha b'tola. It's not allowed to do it. It's a bracha in vain. V'af lahotzi b'nei beso. To be motzi the other people in his home, ena yachol. Lo dami lekidusha va'avdalta u'birchas hamotzi shel mitzvah. This is a pure birchas nani. Kiddush, Havdalah, birchas hamotzi of mitzvah, for example, Sudas Shabbos, These are obligatory things, shein choiva. And we have a din of arvus. So I can make kiddush, even though I've already been yotzei. I can't make a birchas nenin for somebody else unless I have not eaten that piece of cake. Then I can make a bar mitzvah, somebody else can be motzi with it. But if I already eaten a piece of cake, I already made my bracha. Now, it's not like kiddush, where I can make kiddush somewhere, and then I come home and make kiddush again. Because that's midin arvus. So the Torah is giving us this concept that mitzvos, like kiddush, havdalah. Now, hamotzi is a birchas nenin when you just want to eat a piece of bread. But for example, on Shabbos, when there's a mitzvah of shtei lechem, and there's certainly the mitzvah of the suda, where the primary food has to be bread, then there's already, that eating is an eating of mitzvah. Aval zeh is not a chova. Zeh, referring to the bornei v'samim, is eino ela minig ba'alma. Period. That ends the quote of Rabbeinu Ephraim. V'lo nehira. So the Torah says it's not. I don't agree. Sharei poris adam prusel of neveso. A person will cut a piece of bread and make a bracha on behalf of his household, even if he doesn't eat them. Sharei poris adam prusel of neveso. Al pi she'eino ochel imon. Also, my chova ikka. What chova is there? Chen harili adoni avi arosh. And so told me my father the Rosh. That it's really like a birchas neni. And therefore, since by a motzi, you can make a birchas neni on behalf of somebody else, you can make the borim and ebesamim on behalf of somebody else, even though you can't smell. The Beis Yosef, Rabbi Yosef Karo, who comments on the tour, points out that the argument put forward by the tour is problematic. As one who is not eating may only recite the bracha of Hamotzi on behalf of minors, based upon the rule of chinuch, but adults cannot fulfill their obligation by listening to this bracha if the guy who makes the bracha is not going to eat, like I explained. The same should apply to the bracha over spices. Ein mikan kushel Rabbeinu Ephraim. He was talking about children. You can do it now. You can make a bracha for them to teach them about mitzvahs. So therefore, you're talking about, we're not talking about adults. My area of it wouldn't just be his family, it would be any people. The Brisa said, you may not make a bracha of a moitz unless you're going to eat. So we're back to the issue that you may not be able to make the borim and ebesamim for other people if you can't smell. However, the Beis Yosef resolves the position of the Rosh Torah by pointing out that the bracha over spices is a mitzvah, and therefore more comparable to the bracha of kiddush, which one may repeat for others, like I said, even though you were yotzei. Even though it's not an obligation, and therefore, even though you yourself are not eating, or you yourself cannot smell, you can make the bracha midin arvus for the other people. In the Shulchan Aruch, the Bezer Rabbeinu Ephraim is accepted as halacha, and one who cannot smell may not recite the bracha on behalf of a regular adult. However, according to Shulchan Aruch, he may recite the bracha on behalf of an adult who does not know how to recite the bracha himself, like chinuch, or like a shliach tzibur in shul. Either he has children to make the bracha for, or lahotzi misheni yodea. Many achronim disagree with this leniency and write that one who cannot smell may not recite the bracha on behalf of any adult. The Taz explains that the leniency to recite the bracha on behalf of minors is for chinuch. It's not relevant for adults, who have their own independent obligation. Says the Taz, the Masha Kosov Kan B'Shulchan Aruch, Olo Tzimei Yodea, that besides being able to make the bracha for children, you can make it for people who don't know how to read Hebrew. Ze'eni Mevin. The Taz says, I don't understand that. Shari lo amru b'Gemara, ela lahotzi b'nei beso k'tei lechancha. When the Gemara said he can make the bracha even though he's not going to eat with them, he was referring to when he made the bracha for his children to teach them. Ze lo shaykh b'godol she'ena yodeya. The Taz says it's not, we don't have the concept of chinuch by an adult. The Sukkay Milan, the Afil B'Birchas Matzah, the Kiddush. Birchas Matzah, of course, is a mitzvah, not just Birchas Nenin or Kiddush. Shano Aval B'Shiyotza Motzi. There we clearly use the concept of Arvus. It's in Masechta Rosh Hashanah Chaf Tes Oman Aleph. There's a Rashi there near the bottom. It's a famous Rashi. That's why I know it. But that's where it says Midin Arvus. That Aval B'Shiyotza Motzi, even though you've already made Kiddush, or you've already eaten matzah, you can make it again for somebody who hasn't eaten. And that's when you're making that bracha because the other person can't recite it. Otherwise, he should make it himself. It's not going to be appropriate. Somebody else makes the bracha for him. Not a birchas mitzvah, but making a bracha on something that you're going to have a noah from, like brachas apeiros. Lo yivarich afilu b'shvil mi sheni yodeh. You should not make a bracha for somebody who doesn't know. Ve'in lomar dechoshev zeh lebirchas choiva. This is not comparable to a birchas choiva. Shem kein ma'utzrich lahasnois b'nei beis v'aktani. Why did the Gemara have to talk about only his children? So we're not lenient, says the Taz. The Mogen Avram adds that the resolution provided by the Beis Yosef for the position. Hello?
¿Eh? ¿Qué fue ese ruido? Un golpe.
Mario, you've got to mute yourself.
No, I heard the noise.
Okay. The Mogen Avram says that the resolution provided by the Beis Yosef for the position of the Rosh Hashanah is problematic. Although there is a mitzvah to spell spices on Motzei Shabbos, the mitzvah is certainly not on the same level as Kiddush and eating matzah on the first night of Pesach. Those are deraisa. It is more comparable to the mitzvah to eat bread for one's Shabbos meal. Shulchan Aruch rules elsewhere that one who is not eating may not recite the bracha of Amos on behalf of others, even on Shabbos. Tzorach iyun, the akosu b'simin kuf samech zayin dafilu b'Shabbos chayv lechol pas lo yivarch lechaveru. A person should not make a bracha for somebody else. Taimim mishum dolavi elu la'noso. The bracha is like a birchas neni. The kosher king kan dolavi elu la'ashiv nefesh yisera. Same thing with smelling spices is hano. Why make a bracha for the chaver if he can't smell? So the Mishnah Berurah wraps it up. He writes that all the Achronim agree that the leniency of the Shulchan Aruch is not correct. Accordingly, one who has already recited Havdalah, but is repeating it on behalf of others, should smell the spices again when he recites the appropriate bracha. He adds that one listening to Havdalah, who wishes to recite these brachas himself, should be careful that this does not prevent him from hearing the main bracha of Havdalah. Right? There's the Hamavdi ben Kodesh L'Chol, which is the Havdalah bracha, and then there's these other things that were tacked onto Havdalah, like the Eish and the B'samim. So, Akenu Adin, Misha Hivdil Kfar, somebody made Havdalah. Now, Havdalah is a mitzvah like Kiddush. So there we have this concept that since it's a mitzvah, I have a din of Arvus, And even if I was motzi, even though I was yotzi already, I can be motzi. V'yesh l'chush hareach, somebody can smell. Ubirech al absamim, ubal havdil tamacheres b'shul acherim. Now he's been asked to make Havdalah for other people. Yariach od ba'atzmo pamacheres. He should smell again. Kedei sheyuchal od apam levarich borem b'samim, so they could hear it. V'da. The Mashal Nogi Meiz Anoshim. Shein rotzim lotzes b'bichas hanever absamim shomer abmavdil. There are people when they go to Havdalah, they don't want to hear the Eish bracha and the Psamim bracha from the other person. They say it themselves. V'rachlosim la'atzman b'shas shomer abmavdil b'chas hamavdil shelo kedin hemoisim. The kiven shem yoitzim ba'Havdalah. They're relying on the guy making Havdalah to be motzi them in Havdalah. Tzrichin la'atos oznam lishmoa birchas Havdalah. The hamad ben kosh l'chol. V'lo levarch az bracha cheres. And not trouble, be busy making another bracha, levad. Kol zeh mitzvah yoyser, let's say, kulam b'birchas, so the bravam under smela. There's also a concept that just like Kiddush, when you go to people's houses and they say, oh, who wants to make their own Kiddush? That really Ashkenazim hold that one person making Kiddush for everybody is the proper way to do it because of the principle B'rov Amadras Melech. There are certain Hasidim that have a minig, they want to make their own bracha, Chabad, for example. But the standard Ashkenazi approach is that everybody makes their own, that the Balabais makes Kiddush for everybody. The same thing with Havdalah, because you have the concept of B'rov Amadras Melech. If he's far away from the fire, and he's not going to be able to benefit from the light, because he's not going to be yotze from hearing the bracha of the guy making Bor Meresh, and he's too far away to shine his fingers on the light. He should not have kavana when the mavdil makes the birchas ha'ma'areish. He should listen to the guy make Havdalah, not have kavana during the bor mereish, and then afterwards go up and recite his own bracha when he's close, and he can benefit from it. So, what about this question of the bracha on the besamim if the sense of smell is impaired? Rav Yitzchak Yosef writes that one should not follow the ruling of Shulchan Aruch in this case, and one who cannot smell should not recite the bracha on behalf of adults. Rather, one should have the other members of the household recited after Havdalah has been completed, and then smell the besamim. Mi she'enu meiriach, somebody who can't smell, einu mevarach al besamim, does not make the bracha on besamim. V'lachein b'makom shebal habayis einu chash b'tov, if he doesn't feel well and he can't smell, he should make Havdalah without the psamim. The other members of the family will make the bracha on the psamim afterwards. Shmir Shabbos Kilchacha agrees as well that one who cannot smell should not recite the bracha on behalf of others. The Shmir Shabbos Kilchacha suggests a slightly different tactic than the Yakut Yosef, namely that one of the other household members should recite the bracha on behalf of everyone in the middle of the Havdalah. So if the Balabais can't smell, when he gets to the Boyer, somebody else makes that bracha. And you keep the order of Yak Nahaz, right? Yain Kiddush Ner Havdalah's Zman. Mishena Meiriach, Kagon Shehu Mitzunan, somebody has a cold and he can't smell. Lo Yivarch Berchas Absamim. Gam in Bedat Lotzis Mei so Shehem Yerichum. Even if he has in mind, well, I'm making the bracha on behalf of the other people who are going to smell. That doesn't work, we said. Somebody else in the family should make the bracha. So the balabai should say amen and smell. Or everybody should smell. Okay. Page 222. Bor Mereah Eish, the brach over fire. One of the brachos is the fire bracha. The Gemara Masechta Pesachim explains that this bracha is recited Motzei Shabbos, as this is the time that fire was created by Adam Arishon. We learned this already. If you had to delay Havdalah to Sunday night or Monday night, you wouldn't make Borei M'Ra'esh. It's Borei Ma'orei Ha'esh is a bracha attached to Motzei Shabbos only. Hoil utchilas briyasu, because that's when fire was created. Motzei Shabbos nasa kadosh baruch hu deya ba'adam harishon. Motzei Shabbos HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave intelligence to Adam Harishon. Me'ein dugma shel mayla ve'evi shnei avonim. So Adam Harishon brought, based on his new brain, he brought two stones, the tochtan zubezu, and struck one against the other, v'yatzam and or, and that's how he created the first fire. The Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer tells a different story than the Gemara of how fire was first created, Motzei Shabbos for Harishon by Hashem, rather than by Adam. Bein hashmashos shel Shabbos, going into Shabbos, bein hashmashos, Adam Ahar belibo, Adam Harishon was thinking, Vayomer Shema Nachash she'it'al tiyavo v'shifuni ekev, that the Nachash is going to bite him. V'nishtalech lo omot shel eish l'shamra. So Hashem sent him a pillar of fire to guard him. Ulaha'ir lo mikol ra, to light up for him, to stay away from bad things. Ra Adam amud shel eish v'samach belibo. So Adam saw the fire, was happy. Upashat esyoda lo'ora eish v'omer baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech olam borei m'rei eish. U'sheyirkei esyodav me'ora eish, when he put his hand away, now I know that the holy day is different than the secular day. That we don't light fire on Shabbos. I guess the Bein Hashmashos was as Shabbos was leaving. Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer was written by the Tana Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkenes. Rav Avram Zakuto observed that it was in fact authored much later, perhaps in the 8th or 9th century. So the Rashba clarifies that fire being created Motzei Shabbos is not on its own a sufficient reason for reciting this bracha, as we do not recite brachos over other creations on the day of the week that they were created. Fire is different, because lighting fires are forbidden on Shabbos, and is now, when Motzei Shabbos comes, is permitted again. Sha'alta. The Shalos and Shuvas of the Rashba, people asked him questions, or maybe he designed it in a question and answer format. Why did the Chachamim make a bracha Morei Ha'esh Motzei Shabbos? Why? Just because it was created, why is it different than the other creations? Beyond Ploni, beyond Ploni. The sun and the moon were created on the 4th day. This was created on the 5th day. There's other brachas we could have made. Maybe because, at least based on the Gemara, fire was created by man, and therefore you have to recite a bracha, right? The footnotes point out to us that the Rajba was following the version of the Gemara, where Adam created the fire himself. It should also be noted that the Rashba here appears to accept the explanation that the bracha of fire is recited every Motzei Shabbos because Adam created it. But the Rashba is going to give a different reason. Yesh tam tov mizeh. The Rashba says he has a better reason. Lighting fire is usher on Shabbos. And now comes Motzei Shabbos. Now we are permitted again to light fire. As if it's a new creation. Mishum kach mavarchim alav af motzei Yom Kippurim. And they should be Yom Neser. Ve'ata hutar ki'ilin nischadesh ata. Yom Kippur also, when we make Havdalah, we make a Bor Mera'esh because you're not allowed to light fire on Yom Kippur. Same thing. The Gemara concludes that although it's possible to recite the bracha over just one candle, ideally one should use a torch, at least 2 wicks held together. Says the Gemara in Psachim, Kuf Gimel Amud Beis. Kimat al-Avduli, when we came time to make Havdalah, Kam Shmaya, Rava's sort of assistant got up, his gabbai, Va'adlik Avuka Mishagar. He lit a torch from a candle. What do you need a torch for? Haman Chashaga, let's just use the candle. Amalei, Shamim Midaiti the Nafshe Ka'avid. Rava said, the servant did it himself. He didn't ask me. Amalei, Ilosh Mile Minei Demar. Love of it. If he didn't, so one of the Amoraim said, he wouldn't have done it on his own unless he saw it from you. So, and in fact, Rava said, don't you also agree that using a torch for Havdalah is the best way? Because it provides greater fire. Others explain that the torch is preferred since the multiple wicks better match the formula of the bracha of Ma'orei ha'esh, which is in plural. And that's why the gabbai of Rava lit a torch. The Mishnah Bracha says that you must have benefit from the light before reciting the bracha. Ein mavarch malaner ad she'os loro. First, you should have benefit, then you should make the bracha. The Gemara, though, the Amoraim dispute whether one must stand close enough to the light so that one can actually derive benefit, or whether it is sufficient for the light to be bright enough to provide benefit were one to be close enough. And they also give different examples of benefit one could derive from the light in order to recite Bor Mera'esh. This is Brachas Nun Gimel Amud Beis. Amir Amarav. Lo ye'osu ye'osu mamish. Doesn't mean you mamish have to benefit from the light. Ela kol she'ilu omid bekorv mishtamish lo'oira. If you could benefit from it, if you were standing close. Va'afilu berichuk makom. Even if you were not standing close. V'chen amar Ravashi berichuk makom shaninu. It applies even if you're at a distance. It means the light has to be bright enough from the fire that you're creating in order to be able to derive benefit. Rava Omar, ye'osu mamish. No, he has to derive benefit. Kama Amr Ula, Kidei Sheyakir ben Isra Lepunyan. Both are coins. You have to be able to tell the difference between the 2 coins. Chizki Amr Kidei Sheyakir ben Miluz Mashal Tveri le Miluz Mashal Tzipori. This was a certain weight used in Tveri versus Tzipori, so you need enough light. The Shulchan Aruch rules that one must stand close enough to the fire to be able to actually derive benefit. You have to stand close enough so that you could see the difference between coins. Based upon this requirement, and the Tzurba M'Rabanan quoting the Pirkei Rebbe Eliezer, the Mordechai, quoting from a tshuva of the Gaonim, quotes that there's a custom to look at one's fingernails before reciting the bracha over the fire. Kasav b'tshuvas hagaonim, ma'ashanim mistaklim b'tzipornayim, that which we look at our fingernails, davar zeh shonai b'talmud Yerushalmi v'talmud Bavli, that ein mevarchen ala orch ad she'os lo oro. It derives from this halacha in the Gemara that you cannot make the bracha until you benefit from it. Perush ad shemargish ba'ak hahor shel ner, until you sort of feel the light of the candle. This reminds us that Adam HaRishon was covered by nail. He didn't have skin. Nail is also derives from epidermis, but the nail has receded, so we only have a little bit of nail. on our fingers and toes. But at some point, Adam Arishon was covered by nail. The Mordechai says that Adam's skin before sinning was covered entirely by the same material as nail. It's difficult to explain, but that's the way it was. The Rush explains further that the purpose of looking at the fingernails is to ascertain that the light of the candle is sufficient to be able to distinguish between the nail and the skin. You're showing everybody you're benefiting from the light. Coin to coin. The way you can tell, you should be looking at the junction of your nail and the skin. This custom is quoted by the Shulchan Aruch. The Ramah adds that one should continue to hold the cup of wine while looking at one's fingers, and also offers a description of the manner in which one should position the fingers. You should look at the palms and the nails. Says the Ramah, Yesh liros b'tzipornei yad yamin. You should use your right hand. V'le'achoz hakos b'yad small. So you should keep on holding the kos in your left hand. V'yesh likfos ha'etzbos. You should, like we do, you should bend your fingers to your palm. Sha'azru ad tzipornayim imakapois b'vasachas. You're looking. What happens is if you do that now, everyone do that. Look at you can see the palm and the nail and the junction between the nail and the skin at the same time. You don't want to see the inner side of your fingers. Must be a mystical thing there. The Gemara quotes a Baraisa which says that in order to recite the bracha over the fire, one must both see the flame and be capable of deriving benefit from the light. The candle is in his lap, or you've put something over it. He saw a flame, but he didn't benefit from the light. You used the light, but you didn't see the flame. In all these cases, you need both. You need both gedorim. You need to see the flame, and you have to benefit. Understand. You can see a light, but not a flame. Let's say the flame is in a corner, but you're not seeing what's behind the corner. You're just seeing the light. Now, we're going to move on to something else, to electric lights. But I wanted to discuss with the group. Up until now, they actually said that you should have benefit from the light before reciting the bracha. My minig is to recite the bracha and then look at my nails. I don't look at my nails before I recite the bracha. Does anybody do that? Correct. Now, I believe that derives, it's a birchas ne'anin, and we have a principle that you always do it oiver lasiyos. You don't eat the fruit and then make the bracha. You make the bracha before you do the action. Bracha to Hashem, and then I eat. Bracha to Hashem, netilas lulav, then I shake the lulav. We always make the bracha before we do something. So therefore, the boyer mereya eish, and then we benefit from it. Yet, the Shulchan Aruch didn't actually say specifically, the order. They brought it from the Gemara. Anyways, that seems to be an unusual halacha that you're supposed to look at it first before you make the bracha. Okay. Now, the Tzurba is going to deal with using a light bulb. Is it permitted to recite Bor Marash on a light bulb? We already have learned that when you Hadlakas Ner Shabbos, we said you can use a light bulb. You can use light, especially when you're in a hotel, when you're somewhere where the fire would be dangerous. We learned, a hospital where there's oxygen, that you can be Makayim Hadlakas Ner Shabbos with an electric light. But what about this concept? Here's more Aish, right? There, the Hadlakas Ner we learned has to do with Shalom Bayis, primarily. You have to see, to eat dinner, etc. So there, Mehechatesa, whether it's fire or not fire, electricity, is less problematic. But maybe by Havdalah, and we have to make a bracha Bor Mareya Eish, not just Lahadlik Ner Shel Shabbos, which is the Hadlak, the bracha there. Maybe it's different. So let's address questions discussed by the Rishonim. Does seeing fire through a glass separation qualify as seeing? The Rashba discusses this and proves that one may recite a bracha over fire that is behind clear glass, as clear glass does not obstruct sight. Nira de panis, eno ke'ena shoshis. A panis is not like a transparent lantern. Sheroe hashalevet mitocha ashashid. Dahu karoa shalevet chashvinan lei. Through a transparent lantern or piece of glass where you can see the flame directly, that's like seeing the flame. I guess a panis was something that was shaded. The glass was not clear. Even though there is a physical substance separating your eye from the flame, right? It's called that you saw it. Like it says in Brachos Mishamesu, Amrava, Soa ba'ashashis muter likros kriyashma, connecta. If you have excrement in a glass container, you're allowed to read kriyashma. Because there it's the smell. And by being in a container, you're not going to smell it. Seeing it isn't the problem. On the other hand, erva, if there's some prohibited nakedness behind a glass, then it's also likros kriyashma kinegdo. My time it's so bikisui talya milsa. Soa has to be covered by something physical so you don't smell it. V'amachasya, and the soa is covered. Ervas v'lo yirabacha ervas tor. It's totally in vision. V'amischazik, and you're seeing it. V'od lo mishkich mishtamish la'oira. We said that when is the case that you can use the light v'lo rosh alevis ela dekayim b'keren zavis? We said when it's in around a corner. The emisa, if that's correct, mishkachas la'ba'or t'muna b'panis or b'shoshis she'ena rosh alevis mamish. Then putting it in a glass container where you couldn't see the flame should work as well. Elevade kedamrina. So the Rashba proves from that you got to see the flame. The Beis Yosef argues that seeing through a transparent cover is not sufficient. It's not clear from the Gemara quoted that we learned above, but the Yerushalmi says that one may not use a fire covered by an ispaklaria. Ispaklaria is like a pair of glasses, which the Beis Yosef is a transparent cover, like an ashashis. Says the Beis Yosef, T'ma'ani, I'm wondering at what the Rashba said, Himkein Poliga Rashba Yerushalmi. The aspaklaria mashmadainu ashashis. Aspaklaria is a clear glass. And you're not allowed to use the fire, says the Yerushalmi, if it's behind a clear glass. So the halacha quoted by the Shulchan Aruch, including the addition of the Yerushalmi, that one may not use a fire covered by an ispaklaria. For the Magen Avraham resolves the position of the Rashba, arguing that Yerushalmi did not mean to equate opaque and transparent coverings. Nearly, the Sfirla the Yerushalmi mili miliktani, the local Rabbi Yosef, that the Yerushalmi was dealing with two different types of lanterns. One was clear, one was not. And if you can see the flame, it would work. The Mishnah Berurah writes that many poskim concur with the chumrah of the Shulchan Aruch. Therefore, one should ideally not rely on the position of the Rashba and Magen Avraham to recite the bracha on a light separated by glass. Ayin b'ber halacha, sheivenu, the kama poskim serving kedas Shulchan Aruch, al kain ein kedai lechatchila kol b'zeh. So right away we know we have a problem, because an electric light, a bulb, is behind the glass. So even according to Shitas, that electric filament creates fire, based on this chumrah of the Mishnah Berurah, you wouldn't be able to use it. Yes, yeah.
So how do we, those of us who wear glasses, we can never make a bracha Abdullah according to that view? We're seeing it through glass.
It's good.
I think it was talked about the flame should not be in a glass container.
Oh, okay.
Then-
You could say that, but if you it's
Like
still seeing it through glass.
like a lantern.
No, I get it, but if the problem is seeing it through glass, that's what we all do.
It talks about the ne'er tmuna b'toch panas.
Okay, I mean,
I can see a distinction. It doesn't say that you, right? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't.
just how far the glass is from the flame. So if you hold it up to your eyes, in a glass, I mean, is that okay?
No, I mean, when you have a pair of glasses on, you're seeing parts of it above and below your glasses, aren't you? Maybe not.
Mhm.
I don't think
Huh?
so.
You are, because you're using reading glasses.
Yeah, I use reading glasses, so I'm always, huh? How about a contact lens?
The same.
No, but that's the same thing. I think it has to do with the flame being inside something.
So if it's not inside, if it's behind the glass, that's okay?
No, so for example, I was thinking like what you were thinking. For example, you're in someone's backyard and you look through a glass and he's making Havdalah, right? So l'chora, that would be problematic. So based on that, looking through a window, but based on that, wearing glasses may be problematic as well. Why should that be different? Rav Ben Sina B'Shol concludes from these sort that although electric light may be considered fire, since it's covered by glass, you can't use it for Havdalah. I'm going to send an email to Rav Chaim Jachter because we're going to quote. I know. Af she'or hachashmal nechshav eish, even though electric light is considered fire. V'madlik or hachashmal b'Shabbos chai mishum mavir. And if you turn on a light, electricity light on Shabbos, you're over one of the lamitet malachos of Havara. You shouldn't make the bracha b'mereish by Havdalah. Reish Tzadik Ches. They didn't want to say that because the Rotzeach is a murderer. So they said Ches Tzadik Reish. Shener b'toch aspaklaria ein mevarchen alav. Muchach she'af sh'ro sa'or mikol makom kevin sh'or ein megula. See what I'm saying, Yaakov? It's talking about the fire is covered. And here your fire is not covered. It's not a covered fire. You're looking directly at the flame.
So again, but then
Not that there's a glass separating, it's covered.
So okay, so in that case,
In that case, maybe the window is not a problem.
okay, well that's the question. Is the window a problem? Like if you're in your backyard and you're looking in through the glass.
I would say
is that okay?
Lanias Daiti so far, from the sources we're learning, it seems that if the flame is covered, it's the problem. If the flame is open, then we don't have the issue.
Then the question is why? What's the difference? If it's in a glass, if it's covered by glass from the perspective of the person seeing it, he's looking at it through glass. The fact that it's covered doesn't change what the person who's looking at it sees. He sees the flame through glass. It's true the grass may be 360 degrees around the flame, but the person is looking at it through glass. And that's the same as if you're looking at it through the backyard. I mean, if it's the issue of how you see it, isn't that the question?
So the Rashba said that looking it through a clear glass is not a problem. It's only that if you don't see the flame well because the glass is
Okay.
hazy, that it's a problem. So the Beis Yosef argued with him. So of course, according to Rashba, there's no problem with
Right.
people wearing glasses. But regarding the Shulchan Aruch, we have an issue. The Mishnah Berurah didn't deal with it yet because he's just talking about electricity. No, we're not dealing with the question of seeing it with glasses. So back to the Or L'Tzion. Muchach shav sharo sa'or mikol mokom kiven sha'or ein megula. The fire is not is not open. Ela nimsa b'schuchis ein mevarch l'lav. K'mevur Beis Yosef. V'imkenu adin borach hashmal kiven, and certainly by a bulb, it's mechusa b'schuchis ein mevarch l'lav. The Shmir Shabbos Kolchosa quotes a dispute concerning transparent electric bulbs, but clarifies that fluorescent lights, which have become quite common, or lights with non-transparent coverings, certainly may not be used. Ein levarach al nura fluorescent, kari ein ba'ish klal. There's no fire. That's why there's some people that are makel by LED, on Shabbos and Yom Tov. V'chein ein levarach al nuras chashmal regila, shezchuchisai neshkufa. You can't, on regular electric bulbs that are not clear glass. Uvasher l'nurat chashmal shezchufa. Now, one that's transparent, machlok is aposkimi. Imuter levarach alei yesh oiser v'acher matir. Now, Rav Chaim Jachter, I'm familiar with Rav Jachter. He's a Rav in New Jersey. He's prolific. He's written 20 svarim. I have a recent sefer it's called Kashrus Revealed. And it's a phenomenal book on kashrus. Very detailed. You have to know a lot of kashrus before you start learning his book, but it's very well footnoted. And he deals with all the modern day, OU and the kashrus organization. Fascinating book. Now, so he has other books here, Electricity and Positive Mitzvos. Rav Jachter summarizes. By the way, Rav Jachter is a YU graduate and learned with Rav Yoshe Ber. I think he finished in just at the last few years of Rav Yoshe Ber's life. I'm not even sure he learned with them completely. He's certainly with a Talmud of Rav Shechter, and he's a dayan in Elizabeth, New Jersey. So Rav Chaim Jachter summarized many of the opinions in an article on this subject. He notes that Rav Chaim Ozer Kuczynski and Rav Yoshe Ber were among those who permitted using non-frosted incandescent bulbs for Havdalah. But Rav Jachter notes that Rav Mordechai Willig does not recommend using bulbs, since it leads to confusion on the part of people who will then use other non-incandescent bulbs as well. A number of prominent authorities permit the use of non-frosted electric lights for Havdalah, if you have no other option. The Ragged Shaver. We're not talking about, we're talking about heavy hitters here. The Ragged Shaver, Rav Avram Steinberg, Rav Yosef Dov Soloveitchik, Rav Waldenberg, it's Tzitz Eliezer, Rav Yoshe Ber Soloveitchik report that Rav Chaim Ozer recited Bori Mereish on electricity to clarify that we are prohibited to use electricity on Shabbos. But Rav Willig, in a personal communication with Rav Jachter, advises against using a clear, bulb. He observes that today most incandescent bulbs are frosted. If we permit using non-frosted bulbs, people will be confused and use it in improper. While it was public policy, good public policy in the early 20th century, from Chaim Moser to receive no electric lights, he says in the early 21st century, the best policy is to avoid using electricity for Havdalah. I've witnessed numerous times people mistakenly use either fluorescent bulbs or frosted incandescent bulbs for Havdalah. Best to avoid it. Rav Simcha Bunim Cohn notes that some people specifically turn off the electric lights before saying the bracha to demonstrate they can benefit from the candle itself. Many people turn off the electric lights before the bracha. This is done because some people feel that electric light provides such bright illumination that the Havdalah cannot really be considered providing any further illumination. Rav Cohn writes that this was the practice in the home of Moshe Feinstein. Rav Yaakov, were you ever at his house for Havdalah? No.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
In the Ateres Yaakov and the Or Elchanan, they note that the Chofetz Chaim also turned off the electric lights. The Rivavos Ephraim, Rav Ephraim Greenblatt, who I knew quite well and visited many times, who was the Rav in Memphis and then moved to Beit Vagan, and wrote as the Rivavos Ephraim is like an 18-volume. He was considered the Talmud Muvik of Rav Moshe Feinstein in America. Did you know that, Yaakov?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I think Rav Moshe considered him, and he considered himself the Talmud of Rav Moshe in America. And he was also a wonderful posek. Big smile, knew everything.
Yeah, if he wasn't in Memphis, he would have had a lot greater stature. If it's just the fact that he spent his whole life in Memphis, I think sort of impacted what his perceived godless. So not that many people have heard of him, yet he was a tremendous god.
He was, and the Rivos Ephraim is well known. So Rav Ephraim Greenblatt recommends this practice for different reasons to demonstrate that the fire is lit for the purpose of illumination, and not for the purpose of a mitzvah, such as a yard side candle, in which case it may not be used for the bracha of Boimei Eish.
So it's interesting that he mentions Chofetz Chaim because the light did not come to Rodden till very late. There was when I moved to California, there was someone in shul who learned with Chofetz Chaim, who learned in Rodden, and I used to talk to him. And one of the conversations I had with him was when electricity came to Rodden, and it came to Rodden before it came to the rest. It came to the yeshiva before it came to the rest of Rodden. Apparently, the yeshiva was very well connected politically, so they got electricity, and the rest of the town didn't have it yet. So it did come while the Chofetz Chaim was alive, but it was very late in his life. So
he lived till 1933.
Yeah, so they had electricity then, but it wasn't there that long yet. So I don't know how much you can learn from the Chofetz Chaim's experience, but okay.
Right. Susie and I, on our honeymoon, we went to what was the name of that? The Hotel del Coronado,
Sure.
which is
You can't use any flame. You can't use the flame there.
No, it was the first
No,
electrified building in the United States.
No hotel.
No.
That I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, certainly the first electrified hotel, one of the first electrified buildings in the United States. It was like in 1880. It was already electrified, or early 1890, something like that.
But you can't use an open flame there because it burned
So
down.
what?
They're very strict.
Made of wood.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stop here. I might send an email to Rav Chaim Jachter because I'm in an email communication with him. He sometimes sends me questions on urology, the Tsuadaka issues. And
He was supposed to be the scholar in residence.
correct. That's why one of the reasons I came to the
Yeah.
Valley office.
And then the fires came. He was supposed to be a Sharet Tzaddik, scholar in residence.
I may come when he comes. I have to
Yeah.
find out when he's coming, but because he's worth listening to.
Yeah.
Okay, have a great week, everybody.
Go ahead.
Well, thank you. All the best.